that you know that you feel for the people that are closest to you, that love always wins, no matter what.
You know it's hard to not have a person in your life that you thought you wanted to spend the rest of your life with. Yeah. You know what's great about you, and it started. Valerie Bertinelli just confirmed everything the public had suspected. She opens up about her life behind closed doors, a devastating marriage, a relationship that was called toxic, years of alcoholism, self-destruction, and struggling to maintain a public image. At 65, she let it all go. What was once called suspicion is now a frank admission from the person involved. Valerie hit rock bottom, and it was from that lowest place that she decided to tell it all. Valerie Bertinelli was in her 20s when she married Eddie Van Halen, one of the most famous rock musicians in America at the time. The relationship between the innocently looking TV personality and the rebellious rock star immediately attracted attention. For years, fans wondered what really happened behind closed doors during the marriage. It wasn't until Eddie's death in 2020 that Valerie began to speak more about that time. She recounts the difficult moments of dealing with her husband's cocaine addiction, his refusal to quit smoking even after being diagnosed with cancer. Valerie describes married life as a patient struggle with someone she still loved deeply but could not save. In her memoirs Losing It and Then Enough Already, she confirms what has been talked about many times: the lingering hurt, the helplessness of watching a partner sink deeper into addiction, and the loneliness of being alone in one's own home. Although they divorced in 2007, the two remained in touch, and until the end of Eddie's life, Valerie remained by his side. She recounted holding Eddie's hand as he took his last breath, an image that clearly shows the complex emotional bond that outsiders never fully understood. Then came her second marriage to Tom Vitoli, which began in 2011. Unlike her life with Eddie, which was full of turmoil due to fame and addiction, this time Valerie chose a man in the financial industry, someone who was not in the entertainment industry and seemed to be more peaceful. But what she shared after the divorce in 2022 shocked her followers. Valerie called the relationship toxic. She didn't elaborate, but she claimed that she put up with the unbearable for years. On social media, she admitted to using food and alcohol to numb her emotions after conflicts with Vitoli. Her comments about the long-term psychological devastation confirmed what the public had suspected. Valerie's life was not as smooth as the media had portrayed it. In 2024, Valerie opened up about how she was healing from her divorce and had no intention of dating anyone again. Her emotional posts spoke of her fatigue with trusting others. But not long after, she surprised everyone by going public with a new relationship with writer Mike Goodenough, who had been a fan and commenter on her Instagram. The relationship was quiet but profound. Valerie described her feelings for Mike as surprised and nervous, as if she didn't believe she could still be moved after the trauma. They set a 3-weeks-a-week rule to maintain their long-distance relationship and shared intimate, affectionate moments. Nonetheless, by the end of 2024, the couple quietly broke up. Mike wrote about it on Substack, admitting that Valerie was fighting the ghosts in her mind and that their love was real but couldn't overcome the obstacles outside. Valerie hasn't spoken directly about the breakup, but her silence carries weight. Fans understand that if Valerie is no longer talking about her relationship, it may be her way of protecting herself. Once again, suspicions that she has difficulty opening up after 2 failed marriages have been confirmed. On Instagram in late 2024, Valerie wrote, "I thought I would spend the rest of my life with 6 cats and a dog. I don't believe love exists for me." The caption was not meant to be attention-grabbing, but rather a clear conclusion from a woman who believed she was disillusioned and now chooses to prioritize herself. Since her television debut at age 15, Valerie Bertinelli has lived under constant public scrutiny. But while maintaining a likable image, she has also been the subject of gossip about her appearance, something the American entertainment media has never ignored. For decades, her weight has been a constant psychological burden in her life, and Valerie has openly acknowledged it at age 65. In the early 2000s, Valerie was chosen as the face of the popular Jenny Craig weight loss campaign. Images of her in tight clothes sharing her weight loss became a major media topic. She was praised for getting back in shape after turning 40. But behind the accolades was a less talked about reality: the pressure to maintain an ideal weight, the shame of regaining weight, and the exhaustion of always pleasing audiences. Valerie later admitted that her decision to be a Jenny Craig ambassador was a mistake. She made it clear that she was not truly happy during that period. Despite her success in terms of her appearance, being associated with a diet company made her feel that she could only be accepted if her body met expectations. She described feeling helpless when she realized that every time she gained a few pounds, articles would appear with headlines like, "Valerie gained weight again," or "The TV Queen's unstable figure." After leaving Jenny Craig, Valerie began to talk about the pain of living in the grip of diet culture. In her book Enough Already, she writes, "For too long I let my weight define my self-worth." She says that some days, stepping on the scale in the morning was the only thing that determined her mood for the rest of the day. She herself was caught up in the idea that if she wasn't slim, she wasn't worthy of love, work, or recognition. The turning point came in 2024. One morning, Valerie posted a selfie in her underwear on Instagram with the caption, "I am no longer ashamed of my stretch marks, loose skin, or imperfections. This is my body, and I no longer hate it." The photo immediately sparked controversy. Some praised her for being brave. Others accused her of seeking attention. But Valerie did not back down. She responded directly to her critics. "I didn't post this to make you feel beautiful. I posted it because I no longer felt the need to hide." It wasn't a stunt for Valerie. It was the first step to true healing from within. She says it took her more than 40 years to realize that her appearance doesn't define her worth. Her words aren't inspirational cliches, but painful truths from someone who has always felt not beautiful enough. Her 65th birthday, in April 2025, marked another milestone. Valerie posted an unedited photo of herself in a bikini accompanied by the caption, "I spent my youth trying to be someone else. Now I just want to be me." The message was shared hundreds of thousands of times, especially among middle-aged women, as a symbol of self-reliance and the courage to step outside of judgment. Valerie has gone from a woman who was always wary of talking about her weight to a powerful voice for ending body shame. She no longer talks about weight loss goals or dieting success. Instead, she talks about eating to feel good, living to feel good, and letting go of the guilt of a number on the scale. After a series of relationship failures and a long-term struggle with body image, Valerie Bertinelli began to face another equally serious issue: her mental health. While the public still saw her as a strong, capable woman with everything under her belt, she was actually in the midst of a long-term internal crisis, which she only publicly acknowledged in 2024. Behind the gloss, Valerie has said that after her divorce from Tom Vitoli, she began drinking more frequently, not for pleasure but to numb her emotions. The lingering hurt, the feelings of betrayal, the disorientation, and the unexpressed anger led her to rely on alcohol as an escape. She wouldn't call herself an addict, but she was sober enough to realize that drinking had become a way of escape rather than relaxation. In March 2024, at an Oscars-related event, Valerie announced that she had not had a drink since the beginning of the year. Notably, she did not call it a decision to be sober for life. She made it clear that she was just taking a break to get herself together, and that not drinking had helped her feel less foggy, less sad for no reason. This was not a show of contrition. It was her way of trying to get back to her true feelings, unclouded by drugs. Along with quitting drinking, Valerie also began to face the psychological disorders that had been silently lingering for a long time. She shared about panic attacks, days when she didn't want to get out of bed, and feelings of insecurity when appearing in public. What was remarkable was that these feelings did not occur when she was young but became more severe when she entered middle age, a time when she should have been at her most stable. Valerie believes that burying her emotions for decades led to a psychological exhaustion that she could no longer ignore. To recover, she used a variety of approaches. Therapy was her main option. She was outspoken about the fact that seeing a mental health professional should be seen as routine health care, not a sign of weakness. Additionally, Valerie began journaling, meditating in the morning, and especially limiting her time on social media. In May 2024, she announced that she would be taking a break from Instagram because she felt overwhelmed by the need to constantly share, interact, and maintain a positive image. Retreating doesn't have to mean escaping. Valerie uses the time to reconnect with what she calls the real world: face-to-face conversations, long walks uninterrupted by phone notifications, and cooking not for the sake of posting, but for the sake of actually enjoying it. These simple acts help her regain her balance. In November 2024, on the second anniversary of her divorce, Valerie posted on Instagram, "2 years of knowing I no longer have to endure the unbearable. 2 years of facing my shame, anger, and learning to forgive myself." The post received tens of thousands of supportive comments. Many women said they recognized Valerie's story not because she was famous, but because she dared to speak out about what they had kept hidden. Valerie's transformation didn't come in one sudden moment. It was the result of years of living with pain and finally choosing to stop avoiding it. Healing for her wasn't about achieving a state of perfection. It was about being able to walk out of the house every day and not hate herself as much as she did before. Looking back on the time when she was scared and wanted to disappear from the spotlight, Valerie makes no secret of the fact that she is still in the process of recovery. She doesn't claim to have overcome it all, but shares that she is calm enough to face her true self. Shadow in the profession, Valerie Bertinelli is not only remembered for her television roles, but also became a familiar face to millions of food lovers through her shows on the Food Network. The period from 2015 to 2023 marked a new peak in her career, no longer relying on acting but focusing on cooking, inspiring positive living, and connecting with audiences through honest storytelling. Even though what happened next showed that the entertainment industry is never an absolute safe zone, even for someone as experienced and reputable as her, Valerie's home cooking, her cooking show, won 2 daytime Emmys and became one of the Food Network's most popular shows. She's down to earth. No frills, just a middle-aged woman cooking for her family, sharing recipes and sentiments as if she were chatting with an old friend. That makes her a unique figure in a food television industry that's often associated with professional chefs or strong personalities. In addition, Valerie has also co-hosted the Kids Baking Championship since 2015, where she teamed up with Chef Duff Goldman as a judge and mentor to the young contestants. The show was not only a rating success, but also allowed viewers to see another side of Valerie: her patience, gentleness, and humor when working with children. The chemistry between her and Goldman was once considered the soul of the show. So when the news broke in early 2024 that she'd been cut from the next season of Kids Baking Championship, the online community reacted with a vengeance. There was no official explanation from the Food Network. No clear statement from Valerie, just a simple post admitting that she was sad and disappointed to be cut from a show I love. Immediately, questions began to arise. Was this a cost-cutting decision? Or was it a sign of discrimination against older women in the television industry? Loyal audiences are asking, why was a character who had been with the show for nearly a decade, with a stable fan base, suddenly replaced without clear notice on social media platforms? Many people think that Valerie is a victim of ageism, a reality in the entertainment industry where women who have passed middle age are often considered unattractive to advertisers or young audiences. While neither confirming nor denying the theories, Valerie's response, calm, non-aggressive, non-complaining, made her followers feel even more sympathetic. She didn't write an exposé post or post any insinuating statuses. Instead, She took the time to reshape her career after the shock of being cut from one of her most beloved shows. In late 2024, Valerie officially appeared on the Drew Barrymore Show as a lifestyle expert, a new direction less pressured than reality TV, but still maintaining direct interaction with the audience. Her conversations with Drew Barrymore received positive feedback. Viewers commented that Valerie no longer had to please the producers but returned to her true nature, kinder, more down-to-earth, and more relaxed than before. At the same time, she released a new book, Indulge, delicious and decadent dishes to enjoy and share. Unlike your typical cookbook, Indulge is Valerie's clear statement about breaking free from the eating is guilt mentality. She writes openly about having a mild eating disorder because she was afraid of unhealthy food and now chooses to eat to feel full, both physically and emotionally. Valerie has also expanded her online presence through platforms like Instagram and YouTube, where she posts short, unscripted videos without a complicated behind-the-scenes crew. This style makes her followers feel close and authentic. No longer constrained by the television format, Valerie has moved to the digital space to control her own message and image. Valerie keeps it to herself. Amidst all the turmoil in her personal and professional life, Valerie Bertinelli has always maintained a role she has never been ambiguous about or shy away from: motherhood. Her relationship with her son, Wolfgang Van Halen, whom she gave birth to in 1991 while still married to Eddie Van Halen, is the one anchor Valerie has never lost. Even when everything else has fallen apart, Wolfgang was not only her son but also her confidant and the only person she publicly declared the greatest pride in her life. They shared the pain of losing Eddie, whom Valerie still called family even with being separated for years. When Eddie died in 2020 from cancer complications, Valerie not only stayed by his side in his final hours, but also wrote an emotional farewell letter to accompany the announcement. She admitted that although they were no longer married, their love was never truly gone. This confirmed what fans had suspected: Valerie never stopped loving Eddie in her own way. After Wolfgang married his longtime girlfriend Andrea Allup in 2022, Valerie continued to play the role of a non-controlling but ever-present mother. She kept a low profile in her son's personal life, but she was often seen at important events like the Grammys, weddings, and most recently the 2024 Oscars, where she walked the red carpet with Wolfgang and Andrea. Notably, Valerie did not appear as a celebrity mom, but instead maintained her usual reserved and low-key style. One thing she never explicitly said but indirectly expressed was her peace of mind that Wolfgang was happy. Valerie often emphasized, "As long as my son finds joy, I have nothing to worry about." To many, that would be a simple statement. But to Valerie, who has been through 2 failed marriages, it was her way of saying that her greatest success was not in movies or best-selling books, but in raising a child with compassion and courage. Not many people know that Valerie was once a stepmother to 4 children in her marriage to Tom Vitoli. Contrary to the close image between her and Wolfgang, the relationship with Vitoli's stepchildren after the divorce is hardly mentioned. Valerie has never shared in depth about this, nor has she given any information on social networks. This has led fans to make many assumptions, but she has kept absolutely silent. It is this silence that makes the public understand that it is a private area that she does not want to share, not because of hiding, but out of respect. Still, it's easy to see that Valerie has gradually shifted her focus back to herself after her son grew up and moved out on his own. Since 2023, she spent her time learning to cook her favorite dishes, growing plants in her garden, and occasionally posting unedited cooking videos. These images show that she's no longer in a "what to do for the audience" rut, but is living her life the way she wants. Valerie once said that she planned to spend the rest of her life in silence and obscurity. But the truth is, as time went on, she became more open, not to the media, but to herself. Her bikini photos at 65 weren't a belated rebellion. They were a sign of a woman finally accepting that she didn't need anyone's approval to live her life. She doesn't talk about being a grandmother, nor about the things people expect from a woman in her 70s. Valerie doesn't attach herself to the titles of old woman with integrity or inspirational icon. She is simply a woman who is true to herself, courageous enough to walk away from things that no longer serve her, rational enough not to cling to them, and humble enough not to paint herself as perfect. Valerie Bertinelli is no longer a woman who tries to maintain a perfect public image. At 65, she doesn't shy away from her past, nor does she sugarcoat her present. What she chooses to keep, what she dares to let go, and what she shares publicly are clear proof that true strength comes when you stop playing a role for others to see. If Valerie's story has made you think about your own journey, about loving yourself, walking away from something that no longer served you, or simply daring to speak your truth, leave a comment below. Like if you relate. Share this video if you think someone needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next stories. Thank you for watching.